everyone. Sorry for the brief interruption. We have with us here the Minister of Finance of Colombia. He's not only a very respected economist in Colombia and in the region. He's been in the job for 3 years now. Very challenging times in Colombia and in Latin America in the last couple of years, but I think we've fared fairly well. He's also, as an economist, he's been active in the Brookings Institute in Washington, D.C. He's been 3 times minister in Colombia. He's now the finance minister. I've asked him to address our conference to talk a little bit about the Colombian economy and the Colombian context, the regional challenges, the regional integration process. But also, he was just a month ago the chairman of the IMF World Bank annual meeting. Colombia in the Rotary system was this year he was the chairman of the IMF World Bank annual meeting. So he also has a global context, which I think we all would appreciate hearing his views. Some of the panels in that respect were not very optimistic about the world economy, but we've been more optimistic about the opportunities in capital markets and the responsibility that we have from capital markets to help further the growth of the economies, recover growth, recover trust in markets, recover trust in the financial system. So I'll leave you with Minister Mauricio Cárdenas. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Juan Pablo. I'm delighted to be here. I know you're about to conclude your 56th annual meetings. There's one more panel to go, so I probably think the most important part of the whole meeting is the party that you're going to have tonight. So I won't delay you from that part. Well, welcome to Colombia. It is a pleasure for us to host this event in our country. I want to thank in particular Juan Pablo Córdoba, whom as chairman and CEO of our stock exchange has also been a key role has had a key role in the World Federation of Exchanges. We're very happy to see that the meeting was held in our country, and we're very happy to see that you go back to your countries with a better idea and a better sense of what this country is, and that you can actually spread the word and tell the world what's going on in our country. I was with the President in London this week. He's very aware about this meeting and about the presence of all you in the last couple of days here. He's returning tomorrow from London, and he wanted me to extend to you his very best regards. I want to acknowledge the presence today of a number of individuals. I'll begin with Senator Germán Hoyos. Very good to have him here. I was today in a meeting with the senator and some of his colleagues from the economic committees in Congress here in Cartagena. We just finished that meeting, discussing a tax bill that has been submitted by the government to Congress, that it's been discussed and that we hope to be enacted into law before the end of the year. And I'll explain to you in a minute why that's so important to us and for our economic stability. So I want to acknowledge his role and that of his colleagues in the Senate and the House around this bill. Arunma, thank you for coming. Good to see you again. Nandinu Sukumar, the CEO of the World Federation of Exchanges, the incoming chairwoman of the World Federation of Exchanges, the CEO of the National Stock Exchange of India, Chitra Ramkrishna. So thank you for coming. I see the presence of Santiago Montenegro, who's the president of the National Business Council. It's the key association of trade and business association in our country. I see that Jorge Humberto Botero was also mentioned here. I don't see him, the head of the Insurance Trade Association. You've been discussing for 2 days the issues related to the World Federation of Exchanges, and let me try to wrap up in a few minutes 2 elements that could be of interest to you to basically get a good sense of the country where you've been during the last couple of days. As you probably saw in the presentations and in the introductory remarks, Colombia has gone through a very significant transformation in the past decade or so, both economically and socially. Economically, because our growth has been consistently high. We have the highest investment rate in this hemisphere. It's 30%, not 29% of GDP. It's a very high investment rate. It is, of course, crucial for the growth process. Keep in mind that 15 years ago, in the early 2000s, our investment rate was just half of that. And that was a result of many issues, including the problems of security at that time, which held back investment. Now investment is growing, and the investment rate is, for our own standards, the highest in our history, and again, the highest in the region. That has allowed Colombia to grow. Since 2010, the average growth rate for Colombia has been 4.2% per year. We are always head-to-head with Peru in terms of growth rates, but certainly well above the rest of the region. With a higher growth rate, of course, we have been able to generate more jobs. The unemployment rate has been falling consistently since 2010, month after month. The unemployment rate is down. At the same time, we have been able to reduce poverty, mostly because of the generation in jobs, but also because some very effective social interventions, a number of social programs, well-targeted and well-funded, of course, have allowed for a reduction in poverty of 10% of the population. So we were, in 2010, 38% of the population was below the poverty line. Now it's 28%. That means 4.6 million Colombians left poverty and enlarged the middle class. That's also very positive because it has helped our domestic economy become a major driving force in the growth of this economy. That means that it is domestic demand that really drives economic growth. But as many other emerging economies, and especially the commodity exporters, we have dealt for the last 3 years with a very dramatic reduction in our terms of trade. And in our case, that has come mainly from the reduction in oil prices. Oil is Colombia's #1 export, and oil used to be a very significant source of revenues for the national government. Keep in mind that 3 years ago, in 2013, 20% of the revenues of the central government of Colombia came in one way or another from the oil sector. Now that's 0. And in the next year, it's going to be 0 as well. We lost all revenues for the government coming from the oil sector. And that, of course, is a major shock. There's nothing that compares with this in terms of our recent economic history, say since 1980, in terms of a shock. Not only just in the reduction of exports, but also in the reduction of fiscal revenues. So we had to adapt to that, and we had to respond to that. How did we respond? And I'd say the #1 response which was built in our macroeconomic policy framework, was the flexibility of the exchange rate. We did not intervene. We allowed the exchange rate to depreciate, and that was a significant force. Many people in Colombia did not react favorably to that because, of course, in dollar terms, the value of our assets, our incomes, all that fell, but that was necessary as an adjustment to one force that was impossible to ignore, which is that we lost foreign exchange revenues as a result of the reduction in oil prices. The depreciation of the currency had very positive side effects. It did help us to reduce imports and therefore to adjust to a large current account deficit, which on impact, our current account deficit became almost 6% of GDP. We're heading this year to 4.7% of GDP, and next year closer to 4% of GDP. And a lot of that has been the result of the impact of the depreciation on imports. But also the depreciation of the currency became a blessing in disguise, especially for our manufacturing sector. The manufacturing sector had been either contracting or growing very weakly. And with the depreciation of the currency, we started to substitute imports with domestic production, plastics, clothing, textiles, shoes. A number of products that we had been heavily importing now are being produced again in our country. We have a large manufacturing sector where this was a bout of fresh air. It came as very good news for the manufacturing sector, which is the fastest growing sector in our economy today. So the depreciation of the currency helped us a lot. But in addition to that, we had to cut government expenditures to accommodate for the loss in revenues. We have a very tight fiscal rule that puts a limit on the fiscal deficit that we can run year after year. Implicitly, that also puts a ceiling on the debt that the government of Colombia can have, the public debt. So we had to cut the budget, and we had to introduce a tax reform 2 years ago, which imposed a surcharge on corporate income taxes. And the surcharge on corporate income taxes is affecting the competitiveness of our economy because we have a very high corporate tax rate compared to our neighbors and compared to our peers. So the time is now the one that is adequate and is proper to discuss a change in the tax structure in Colombia. And this bill that we submitted to Congress is a bill that is intended to reduce corporate income taxes by nearly 10 percentage points. Our corporate tax, if we don't do anything, is going to be 43%. And with this bill, we're hoping it'll come down to 32%. So that's the impact, that's the effect on corporate taxes. But of course, we have to raise revenues from other sources. And this strategy that we're putting together is very strong on fighting tax evasion. We have very high tax evasion. This is a common issue for many other emerging and developing economies. And the way we want to fight tax evasion is by introducing a number of elements in our legislation which are not present today. One of them is to make tax evasion a crime. I'm sure that in many of the countries that you represent, tax evasion is already a crime. It is not the case here in Colombia. So that's one item that you won't be surprised to hear. It's getting a lot of headlines in the newspapers. The second element to fight tax evasion has to do with a clear strategy to fight the use of tax havens. And the way we're doing this is through the OECD. we expect to be full members of the OECD next year. There are 23 committees that are looking at our accession process. Of those 23 committees, 16 have already approved our admission. But before becoming full members of the OECD, we already adopted the Multilateral Convention on the Exchange of Information. So Colombia exchanges information, tax information, with a number of jurisdictions. And those that do not exchange information with us and that have very low tax rates, corporate tax rates or income tax rates, we have declared tax havens. And in that case, transactions between Colombian nationals and residents of those tax havens are heavily taxed here, on source, on origin, through withholding taxes. That's another way for us to fight tax evasion. The issue of Panama has been crucial in our fight against tax evasion. That's why we're so happy that Panama last week signed this multilateral convention to exchange tax information. And that was the result of our own efforts in making sure that Panama became willing to exchange information, but also the G20 played a very important role in that process, along with the OECD. So fighting tax evasion is crucial. Another element, and I won't bore you with the whole details about our strategy, is the abuse that is predominant today with the nonprofit sector. We have a number of nonprofit institutions that are just being used to evade taxes. And we're also adopting very strong guidelines in terms of the rules for the nonprofits, including, for example, something that is already a standard in the world, which is disclosure of information. It's citizens that control better what happens with the nonprofits. So for that, the nonprofits are required to publish their financial statements, to publish who's in their payroll, how much do they pay to their top executives, where do they spend their revenues, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, the tax reform is about reducing corporate income taxes, heavily going after tax evasion, and raising. Of course, I had to talk about what is going to be the source of additional revenues. Raising personal income taxes, especially for the higher end of the spectrum, and something that in this audience, I'm sure it's not going to be well received, but I could not omit a tax on dividends, which we're introducing with a rate of 10% when the dividends are paid out to individuals. We're also proposing an increase in the VAT. Our VAT rate is 16%. We're proposing to move it to 19%. This is all happening at the time when Colombia is undergoing structural transformations. And I'll mention two areas of structural transformation which are particularly important for us. One is peace. The other one is infrastructure. On the peace front, a peace agreement was reached. It was voted on a plebiscite. The plebiscite was lost. The majority said no by a very, very tiny margin. But that has generated the need of a revision of the agreement. We hope that that revision concludes soon, incorporating some of the arguments that the defenders of the no put forward when they opposed to this agreement. And that is being now discussed with the opposition here in Colombia and with the counterpart, which is the FARC guerrilla group in Cuba, where these talks are being held. We very much expect this to conclude soon so that Colombia can actually turn the page of a 50-year conflict. The hundreds of studies that exist in our country regarding the economic costs of conflict all indicate there will be a net gain There are some differences of opinion as to what is the magnitude of that net gain. But to be conservative and to be on the prudent side, this means at least an extra 1% of growth per year on top of what we have right now. So Colombia's economic growth will be accelerated. And that is a result of the fact that there are some areas of this country where, because of the conflict, there hasn't been sufficient economic opportunities. And this is noteworthy in the case of agriculture, tourism. You're here, you go back, you probably show to your friends and your colleagues and your families how good a destination this country is for tourism. But many other tourists that would like to come here don't come. And the reason has to do with the conflict. Because as a result of the conflict, many foreign ministries across the world warn against traveling to Colombia. So with peace, I'm sure those warnings are going to be lifted, and then more people are going to come here, and we're going to have a more vibrant tourism sector. And also, we think that with peace, the whole economy is going to improve in broad terms, because there has been a loss in terms of productivity in our country as a result of the fact that both the private sector and the public sector in Colombia have used significant resources to provide security and protection. And those resources can be put to use into more productive activities. So that should also help us accelerate growth. So peace has an economic dividend. Peace is positive for our economy. And in the next decade or so, with peace, which is just around the corner, we're going to be able to grow faster. And the second structural reform has to do with transportation infrastructure. This country is a country with a very difficult geography, very difficult terrain, many mountains, and difficult to travel from the interior of Colombia to the coast. And we have launched a massive infrastructure program that we started at the beginning of the administration, based on PPPs, based on the capital markets. The capital markets are funding this program. It's the private sector that is undertaking these investments. The role of the government has been on the planning, on putting forward the projects, making sure that the projects are well structured, well designed, and it's for the private sector to bid for these PPPs, where the government also provides, once the projects are operational, the government will provide some budgetary support. So in general terms, for each dollar of toll collections, the government is going to put another dollar from the budget. And that's the main source of revenue for the concessionaires. Today, there have been 29 projects that are already awarded. Many of them have already done their financial closings. A number of them have been funded by bonds issued in the international markets in dollar terms. The government of Colombia, by the way, is also providing a hedge for the exchange rate risk. So that's why the concessionaires are able to issue the bonds in dollars. And the projects are beginning now the execution stage. And it's an investment program of $15 billion, which is the largest in our history and certainly one of the largest in the emerging world today. So this is another transformational force in our economy. I'm going to end by talking a little bit about some more specific issues related to the capital markets. So as you probably heard during the past 2 days, we have a deep economic and political integration with the countries of the Pacific Alliance, Mexico, Peru, Chile, and Colombia. What the Pacific Alliance does is to create a single market of nearly 210 million people, a GDP of about $1.5 trillion. It's probably the 8th largest economy in the world, the combined 4 countries. And apart from free trade, which is the obvious for an economic integration area, we have been working on integration of capital markets. This was very much led by the private sector, and especially by the stock exchanges that integrated through MILA. Initially, for the transaction of stocks, now extended to fixed return instruments, to IPOs. And in the next steps, we are working on making sure that institutional investors from the 4 countries can actually invest in each of the other 4 countries of the alliance with the regulation associated with domestic investments, not with investments abroad. So it's going to be considered a local market for institutional investors. And on the supply side, funds that want to attract investors, that want to offer products to the market, can have a regional passport, which means that once a fund is established in one of the 4 countries, because it's being supervised by one of the authorities of the 4 countries, it can go and look for clients and investors in any of the other 3 countries. Therefore, the concept of the passport for investment is crucial. The MILA market has a market cap or a stock market capitalization of $816 billion, has more than 700 issuers, accounts for nearly half of the capital markets in Latin America. And as I said before, because of these new elements that are being integrated, the fixed income instruments and the derivatives and the listed funds is expected to grow faster. And the commercialization of mutual funds through these regional passport. But we understand that regional capital markets integration is one step in the broader view and perspective and goal of the internationalization of our capital markets. And this is an area in which we have been very active. 3 years ago, only 3% of our domestically denominated, peso-denominated public debt was in foreign hands. Only 3% of the stock of Colombian treasuries were owned by foreigners. And this was the result of high taxes on international portfolio investors. We brought those taxes down, we opened the market, and now it's 23% of the stock of treasuries, which is now being held by international investors. We hope that share to continue to increase. It has given us our treasuries market more liquidity, it's a deeper market, and it has also allowed for a reduction in the yield. And that's good news for the business community in general, because it has reduced the cost of capital in our economy. So bringing in more investors has been very, very positive. And the more we can do in bringing international investors to our capital markets, the better. I will just say that these strategies that we're pursuing to solve the issues related with the conflict in Colombia, to build the infrastructure, to have a deeper and more integrated capital markets. All of that is going to bring benefits in terms of economic growth for Colombia. So what we expect is that in the next decade, Colombia's per capita GDP is going to increase from about $6,500 today, after the depreciation of our currency, by the way, to somewhere around $12,000 per capita. And that, of course, means an economy of 48 million people, an economy where the middle class is already the dominant class. It's an economy that can actually grow at rates which we estimate will be close to 4.5% per year in the next decade or so. That means Colombia will be a country which will be able to solve some of the remaining problems, essentially related to poverty, will bring more economic opportunities to the population, and will make Colombia a country where we will be able to provide an environment that is attractive to many investors that want to locate here because of the predictability of our decisions, the strength of our economic policy framework, the stability that we provide in terms of the rules of the game, and a country that we hope that with these decisions will start climbing positions and will become, together with the accession to the OECD, a developed economy within our lifespans. That's the goal. That's what we plan to do. We think that's achievable. We have to work on a number of fronts, and capital markets play a crucial role, especially capital markets helping us build the infrastructure that we need and help also businesses grow in the different segments, beginning with the SMEs, but also the big corporations. So a country that is consistently moving in the right direction, a country that has been able to achieve a lot, but that has great challenges ahead, and we're very optimistic about our future. So let me say how thankful I am for this invitation. I hope that this conference ends with a good message for the development of the stock exchanges, and also you go back to your countries understanding Colombia, getting a better sense of what our country is, and that in itself for us is something that we value and we appreciate significantly. Thank you very much.
I'd like to thank the Minister. Thank you very much, Minister. As you can see, we are lucky to have a government, and particularly a head of the Ministry of Finance, that not only understands capital markets, but that is very pro-capital markets. We found in the Minister a very good supporter of the initiatives for the market, and with all the support, we will continue, hopefully, to grow our market and to grow our markets and make them continue to serve our economy and our economies in the integration process much better. I forgot to mention in the beginning that the Minister in the past was also a member of the board of the exchange. I was not the CEO of the exchange, but he knows the exchange from way back, so he also knows the exchange. So thank you very much, Minister. We know you're pressed for time. Thank you very much. So as all good things come to a close, I wanted to say that, first of all, I am very, very happy and satisfied that all of you made the trip to Colombia. I'm very thankful. I know traveling around the world is a big effort, but I hope that it was worth your while. Sorry. Not only for the very high quality of the conference, I'd like to congratulate Nandinu I think that the program this year was absolutely outstanding. All the panels, all the panelists, all the speakers. I would also like to thank them, but congratulate Nandinu for an excellent program. Yeah. I hope you have enjoyed Cartagena and Colombia. It is always in our interest in organizing these types of events to turn you all into ambassadors for our country, which we love very much, and we hope you had a good flavor and a good experience here in Colombia, and that you can become then those ambassadors, replicating the good experience that you had here. We still have a little bit of fun ahead of us. There is a closing dinner event tonight, which we hope you can all join us. There is also a plan tomorrow for those who stay. I urge you to join us. We will be going out to some of the islands across the bay. It's like a 45-minute boat ride, and it's very nice. And since you brought good luck, the weather has been wonderful this past couple of days. So we hope that tomorrow will also be very pleasant, and we'll have lobster on the beach. So who can complain? So hopefully many of you can join us. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that with the book that you received yesterday of Magical Realism, there is the movie. I sort of mentioned it at the beginning. The CD that you have in the book at the back is a movie about I would say, the natural treasures of Colombia, which I would urge you to, at some point, take out and watch, because it's easy to carry, and it's very pretty and it's very well done. And I hope that you see it and that you will have even more reason to come back to Colombia. As the Minister said, moving forward, we believe that tourism may become one of the key, let's say, dollar-generating sectors in the Colombian economy. And one of the challenges is precisely to make all those beautiful places accessible to international travelers. So hopefully you will watch the movie and invite your families to come back to Colombia with you. On that account, I would like to say that from all the panels, what I take is that, yes, the world economy will continue to be difficult on us. And yes, regulation will continue to be a challenge, and the evolution of regulation will continue to be a challenge. But I leave this conference with tremendous optimism about the opportunities for exchanges and for our industry in the coming years. There are so many areas where exchanges and our knowledge, our technology, our know-how, our enthusiasm, our capability to coordinate and organize the market participants in going forward just provide tremendous opportunities for us to make the world capital markets better, the functioning of our capital markets better, and the financing of our economies also much more efficient. So I think that a few years back, maybe we were thinking, where's the exchange industry going? Even the disruption with distributed ledger technology in some of our forums was questioning what we do. And I think that the conclusion in all of the panels in this conference was that, if anything, there is tremendous opportunity for the exchange industry. So that leaves me very motivated to continue to work with the Federation and, of course, here in the region for our own capital markets. With that, I'd like to thank you all, and I hope that you join us for dinner tonight. Thank you very much for coming, and honestly, I hope you enjoyed your stay here in Colombia. Thank you very much.
So, good afternoon, and I believe that next year would be a very tough job and very challenging for Thailand because of this year is such a very great place and a very great conference that we are here, everyone, and thank you for inviting us to be here. And for next year, on behalf of the Stock Exchange of Thailand, it is an honor to host the 2017 WFE General Assembly in Bangkok next September. And we at the SET look forward to welcoming our WFE friends to Bangkok, Thailand, the land of smiles with the warmness, hospitalities, and a blend of the cultural heritage and modernity. As you already see from our video, I think it is a very introduction, and we really like you to come to visit Bangkok, Thailand. And they have a lot of things to do besides the capital market. Let me brief just a bit that the Thai capital market has grown rapidly as multiple of the Thai economy during the past 5 years. As a result, SET has become one of the recognized ASEAN capital market. Its market capitalization has increased by 5 times during the past 5 years. The liquidity has been very strong, and SET also has been success as a fundraising venue with over 150 listed companies during the past 4 years. Our roles as cultivators with integrity toward the sustainable growth has been proven through these achievements on the corporate governance and the sustainability qualities of our listed company. In addition, as Thailand is located in the center of the ASEAN, as well as the Greater Mekong sub-region, which have become one of the highest growth potential economies and capital markets in the world, we as SET has great opportunities to work with our colleagues in regions to develop our regions as a whole, and we hope that we would be able to welcome and show you all such wonderful things in Bangkok next September. And thank you very much. And let me talk in the Thai word that สวัสดีค่ะ
At the end of such a wonderful conference, I have precious little to add, except to say that this 2016 General Assembly belongs to Cartagena, belongs to Colombia, and of course belongs to Juan Pablo, who did such a wonderful job along with his team for putting this 3 days for all of us to enjoy the warmth, hospitality, and excellent content in the program, which every one of us has taken away from here. So may I request all of you to please give a big round of applause to Juan Pablo and his team. Thank you again. We definitely take away a lot of key themes for us to ponder, and which will set the context for the work of the Federation in the year to come. And I certainly look forward to working with all of you and with your support to build on the strength and the consolidation that the Federation has already done in the last 2 years with Nandinu and with Juan Pablo. Thank you very much.
Since I'm the last, I'm going to be very brief, even in my thank yous. So it's just a quick round of thank yous, really. One to Juan Pablo. Thank you for your hospitality. It's been a wonderful General Assembly, and we all loved being in Colombia. Kesara, we're very much looking forward to being in Thailand next year. Thank you, all of you who've come all this way. It's always special that what makes WFE conferences and events special is the level of engagement among the members. So thank you for coming all this way. And finally, I have to say thank you to my team who've been absolutely amazing, and we wouldn't be able to do any of it without it. There are 4 of my team here today: Anna, Gavin, Sharon, and Gregoire somewhere. And back in London, Antoinette and Lily, who couldn't come, but they have looked up, they've done the hardest work of the conference. So thank you all, and I have to say thank you to Valeria and Estefania from the BVC and ASOBOLSA side, who were absolutely awesome. So, and Pamela, I'm losing her, Pamela and Laura too. So thank you all, see you next year, bye-bye.